As this is my last Parsha video for the year of Tavshin Pei, I want to thank everyone who has taken out the time to listen to these weekly Parsha videos during the course of this past year, hopefully enjoying the Divrei Torah that we share together. And I'd like to inform everyone as well that Amir Hashem on Thursday evening, September 24th at 8 o'clock, I will be delivering a little bit of a longer session, drasha for Shabbos Shuvah, as it were. Thursday evening, September 24th at 8 p.m. You will be provided with the Zoom identification number in order to participate in that opportunity to continue learning together. Rosh Hashana Tavshin Pei Aleph. On the very first day, we read the Haftorah dealing with the famous story of Chana, the beloved wife of Elkanah. And we know that Chana is barren. And we know that each and every time that she makes the trip with her husband and his other wife, Penina, they go up to Shiloh, and having brought sacrifices, the portions are divvied out. They are given out by Elkanah to his wives, Penina, to his children that he has from Penina, and to his beloved wife, Chana. And Chana is daily taunted by Penina regarding the fact that she has no children. And needless to say, she's overwhelmed and overcome with a sense of pain, a sense of emptiness, a sense of barrenness, a sense of meaninglessness insofar as her life is concerned, because she wants children more than anything in the world. And on this particular occasion, Vahi Hayom, after having given out the portions, she's not eating as she was typically wont to do. And she's turned to by her husband Elkanah, and he says, Chanala, lama sifki, why are you crying? V'lama lo sokli, and why aren't you eating? V'lama yera levavik, and why is your heart so heavy? Halo anochi tov lach me'asar banim. After all, I love you, explained Chazal, as much as were you to have blessed me with a huge house filled with children. And the Psukim tell us, V'atokum Chana got up, Acharei ochla b'Shilo, after she had given in to eating, V'acharei shaso, and having as well drunk, Ve'eli HaKohen Yoshev al HaKisei HaMezuzos Heichal Adonai, and she positions herself at the opening of the Heichal right near Eli the Kohen Gadol, V'hi moras nafesh, and she was so embittered in her soul. And asked the Rav Sazal, Rav Yosef Dov Soloveitchik Zecher Tzadik L'Bracha Mori v'Rabbi, he asks, why is she moras nefesh? Why is she so embittered in soul? And he explains, because Vayehi Hayom, because on that day, in this particular journey to Shiloh, she firstly understood at this particular moment that now her immense burden of having been childless was no longer shared by this loving husband who loved her and adored her. And now the burden was hers alone. And in full loneliness and full desperation and endless sadness, she realizes that she can only turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to hear her prayers, for only his shoulders can squarely hold the tefillos that she feels within the depths of her heart, and only upon him is the reality of an ability to answer her bakashos, her supplications, and her desperate needs in life. And said the Rav Zatzal, so of course we read this on the first day of Rosh Hashana, because the Gemara Rosh Hashana tells us that more importantly than anything, the initial and ultimate purpose of Rosh Hashana itself is Bavur Tamlichuni Melech, that we coronate the Almighty, that we coronate HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we proclaim that He is our King. And it is only to Him that we can pray and need pray. And He is our only source of salvation. And everything else flows from there. And if this is the case, then indeed, it makes such good sense that several weeks ago, in the wonderful shul that I daven in, the wonderful Ashkama Minya that I daven in, since Shavuos, Baruch Hashem, and we daven inside with all of the precautions, 6 to 8 feet of social distancing. Everyone has to wear a mask when they enter the shul. No one congregates to talk after davening, let alone during davening. Vayehi Hayom, and indeed it was on a particular Shabbos a few weeks ago that I found myself davening the Shtil Shemona Esrei and Musaf, and suddenly there was a pounding on the main door of the shul that could be heard, because all of the doors into the Heichal are open in order that there be full circulation throughout the entire building, as is required during this pandemic. And the person kept on knocking and knocking. No one could come to the door, of course, because we were all davening Shemona Esrei. And then even after Shemona Esrei, no one ran to the door, probably because there's always a guard at the door. And the assumption probably was that if the door was shut, it was shut for a reason. But the pounding kept on. And I was wondering, nobody was answering the door. Why is the person still knocking? And then we came to Kedusha. And there was a lull and silence. And suddenly again, knocking. And midway through Kedusha, that we weren't even permitted to sing all these months, in order that the davening should be more streamlined to lessen the possibilities of, God forbid, one person catching something from another. In the middle of Kedusha, I began to cry. And I said to myself, thinking in my mind, Ribbon Shalom, we're in a shul, in a minyan with 12 people. The Balkori gets all the aliyahs. Nobody gets an aliyah. The Balkori is the one to go up for Hotzah and then Achnasa, to take out and return the Sefer Torah so that no one else touches the Sefer Torah. There is no Chatzi Kaddish after Shavi, but rather after the Haftorah lain by the Balkori, there's first the Chatzi Kaddish, according to the Psak of the Shulchan Aruch, the Mechaber. And look, someone is still knocking, saying, let me in. I want in. Because we've had a half a year with Sidorim without children and without Einaklach. And we've had a Shavuos without a Tikkun Leil Shavuos being able to learn. And so many of us who lost parents couldn't even have a minyan during Shiva, couldn't even sit with their siblings, couldn't even bury their parents because we weren't in the same city. And we didn't have Kaddish for a couple of months. And there is no learning. There was no learning in Batei Medrash till very recently. And the minyanim are still understandably properly very small, with everyone wearing masks, if people are hearkening to Dina de Machus Adina and to what we need to engage in order to preserve life itself. And so we come before the Ribbon Shalom on Rosh Hashana, whether you're able to be in a minyan or you're not able to be a minyan. And we knock. And we knock. Without let up. Without turning around and walking away. Because we knock and knock and knock and say to Ribbon Shalom, we know during this pandemic, with all of the scientific experiments and all of the billions of dollars, trillions of dollars being invested throughout the world to come up with the cure, with the vaccine, with all of the greatest efforts, all of the greatest minds, all of the greatest technological progress. Only you, Ribbon Shalom, could open the door. Only you could answer our tefillos. You, the Melech Malchei HaMlachim, the Melech HaMishpat, before whom we shall stand this forthcoming Shabbos of the first day of Rosh Hashana. And we ask you, please open up. Please hear my tefillos. For indeed, Chana's tefillos became the very paradigm and source for the halachic discussion in Maseches Brachos for all of our tefillos, with the intimate prayer between herself and Hashem Yisparach. Ein o movado. Only you can answer our tefillos. Only you can heal us. Only you can preserve our lives. Only you can return us to our children and parents and siblings and grandchildren and friends and Batei Medrash and Kolalim in good health without masks. And when we understand this, and we're Mamlech Hashem Yisparach, then Halavai Mirza Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will respond to us and will grant us the Yeshua in this coming year that we should be granted Geherifying, to be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with greater meaning, greater love, greater gratitude, and a greater sense of being the Am HaNivchar of Hashem Yisparach. Iksiva v'chasima tova, and a good bench jar for all of you.